The Jussie Smollett hoax crime takes a sad, pathetic detour of justice. Cook County, Chicago Obama officials have dropped all charges against Jussie Smollett on his hoax and fraud charges that the Chicago police brought against him. Now we need to ask some important questions. Did Valerie Jarrett and Obama pull strings to get these charges dropped? Was there a backroom money deal to get these charges dropped? And how mad are the folks on the Chicago police force that did all their hard work to bring this case to justice? Did the prosecutor and her team have secret meetings with Valerie Jarrett? Does Jussie have a history of lying to the police? And do the rich get away with crimes in America? These are all very serious and important questions we need to ask. And can the poor get a fair shake in a system like this in America? So, before we go any further, what does Rahm Emanuel think about the Jussie Smollett whitewash cover-up? Well, listen up.
Our officers did hard work, day in and day out, countless hours, working to unwind what actually happened that night. The city saw its reputation dragged through the mud, but I remind everybody it was not just the officers' work. That work, a piece of that work, was shown to a grand jury, and they made a decision based on only a sliver of the evidence. And as I remember correctly, somebody wanted to have that evidence in the day, as the superintendent said, their day in court, so all the evidence could be made public. Because of the judge's decision, none of that evidence will ever be made public. None of it. This is without a doubt a whitewash of justice, and sends a clear message that if you're in a position of influence and power, you'll get treated one way, other people will be treated another way. There is no accountability then in the system. It is wrong, full stop.
And you may be asking yourself about now, Rahm Emanuel, wasn't he the guy that used to tell Obama what to do? Well, that was back then, before Valerie Jarrett took over. So, how much did Jussie have to cough up to get those hoax charges dropped in the Windy City? Apparently $100,000. But wait! Now, Jussie had to pay 10% of the $100,000 bail, so we know for sure that Jussie had to pay $10,000. But who or what paid for the additional $90,000? That's a good question that only the bail bondsman could answer if Obama let him. And now we know that there's a new player in the game, Jesse Jackson, and the Rainbow Push nonprofit coalition. So, did Jesse Jackson personally supervise Jussie during these 2 days of so-called community service? Or was it possible that all Jussie was doing was signing autographs for the Rainbow Push Coalition patrons of honor? It really is amazing how the liberal left progressives worship the Hollywood scum. It's sort of pathetic. So here on this segment, we're only going to name the players in this lurid tale of corruption. But first, before we expose the gang members, I would like to pose a serious question. Let's pretend for one moment that there was a real assault that took place, We're just pretending, of course. Would there be a powerful political gang out there that would push for these criminals to get off with a big $100,000 fine or payoff and do no jail time? I doubt it. We can all agree on that. No, the people would have went to jail. If it had been true the criminals would have went to jail, and plus there would have been a big fine also, a combination of both. And you already know about the civil asset forfeitures fiasco, you know, where they take all your shit. So, I mean, does this play into the equation? Of course it does. So why don't we name the players in this gang of criminals? First, we have Obama and his clan. They are gang leaders, okay? And then we do have Jesse Jackson. He's the Rainbow Coalition man. And Jesse Jackson is he's a preacher shill for the gang leaders. And next we have Valerie Jarrett. She's an underboss in the gang. And you'll notice from the photos that these people all travel in the same circles. You and I are not invited. And then you may not have heard of this lady. Her name is Tina Tchen, and she is like a consigliere advisor. You know, she's like one of the smart people out of the liberal left, and there's not very many of them. And as you can see, she's traveling in these circles. Next, we have Kim Foxx. She's the prosecutor, Cook County. She's an enforcer in the gang, or in this case, she's a protector. Now, one of the players that is unknown, I do not have the name, but I guess I should put it in here, is the judge that was in on the grand jury. Now, somehow this judge had a part in this cover-up. Was it willingly or unwillingly? I don't know. But we do need to understand that judges are a big part of the equation. And of course, we don't want to leave out the actor, because he's very important in the whole show. Of course, Jussie Smollett he gets the best director and the best actor award for this whole hoax. I mean, it's really, really, well, sad. Yes, sad indeed. Okay, why don't we start to analyze these freaks? To begin with, what do Obama, Jesse Jackson, Valerie Jarrett, Tina Tchen, Kim Foxx, and Jussie Smollett, what do they all have in common? Well, I'll tell you at the end of the video. So how did this whole damn nightmare even start? How did it begin? Okay, well, first of all, we have a man with psychological issues on who or what he is, and he decides to lie to police and create a hoax to further divide America. That's how it started. But then the hoax started to fall apart after people they began wondering, how did Smollett fight off two angry men while still holding a Subway sandwich and not dropping his smartphone? That's when the hoax started to fall apart. And then I guess it didn't help when Subway, you might not have heard about this, but seriously, Subway has just introduced a new sandwich to the menu. It's called a Jussie. And you guessed it, the Jussie is a bologna on white bread. A bologna sandwich on white bread. Okay, all kidding aside, let's, look, before we start analyzing the criminals involved, why don't we answer those questions that I posed at the beginning of the video. Number one, did Valerie Jarrett and Obama pull strings to get charges dropped? Yes, we're going to analyze that later. Number two, was there a backroom money deal to get the charges dropped? Yeah, apparently a $100,000 backroom deal. How mad are the folks on the police force? Well, let's just say they're turning red. They're pretty pissed. Okay. Did the prosecutors or their team have secret meetings with Valerie Jarrett or Tina Tchen? Well, I think so. It's my opinion. And we're going to analyze that later. Remember, a lot of this stuff is my opinion. So, whatever. And what does Rahm Emanuel think about this whitewash of justice? Well, I believe he's pretty pissed off. He's also covering his ass. Okay, what else? Does Jussie have a history of lying to police? Yeah, I think he was prosecuted once for lying to police. That's on public record, I believe. Okay, do the rich get away with crimes in America? Apparently they do. I mean, this is just another case. I mean, Jussie is rich. in a position of, he's not, well, you are. If you're in Hollywood, you're in a position of power. Sure you are. You're getting paid big money, too. Can the poor get a fair shake in a system like this? No. Hell no. So let's go ahead and start our analysis on these criminals. We'll go with the gang leader first. Okay, Obama. If he was smart, he would have used layers and layers of insulation to keep his cover of plausible deniability in this cover-up. I mean, just like he did in the FBI Hillary cover-up. I mean, that's his MO, and that's what we're sticking with. I mean, criminals don't normally change their patterns. We're talking SOP here, standard operating procedure. Okay, next we're gonna throw in the religious leader's role in this cover-up. You got Jesse Jackson. Now, preachers have always been used by the political criminal class as a tool of moral legitimacy. So that's the role of the preacher. The preacher helps the politicians get on the jobs. Okay, so most of the time, the preachers are just as evil as the politicians they are shills for. Okay, they both have something in common. Preachers and politicians, they have something in common. They never get their hands dirty, but they play in this river of blood. So there you've got Jesse Jackson, and he's got a role in this with his Rainbow Coalition. So from the top of the organization, the plan would have been hatched. I mean, it's very simple. You see, I mean, these morons are not really criminal geniuses here. No, they're not. I mean, here's how it would have went down. First, Michelle and Obama would have dinner where they would discuss how can we help little Jussie. How can we get little Jussie out of this problem? So there's Michelle and Obama at dinner. Okay, Michelle would say something like this. Well, I'll talk to Valerie tomorrow. And then Obama would say something like, oh, okay, that's beautiful. And I'll reach out to Jesse Jackson. Okay? And then then Obama would say something like, yoo-hoo, yoo-hoo, waiter, can you get me another bottle of that 1869 Chateau Lafite Rothschild gold label, please? Phone calls are made, and the next day at a special luncheon, Michelle and Valerie Jarrett meet. There's 5 Secret Service men guarding the criminal duo, and they discuss who is best to reach out to the Cook County prosecutor, Kim Foxx, okay? So after oyster Rockefeller and a vegan salad, they both agree Tina Tchen is perfect for the job. So that's who they come up with. Michelle and Valerie, they figure out that, yes, Tina will be perfect to be the lead. I think that's how they use it in government circles. They say, yeah, he'll lead up the project. He'll lead the now they're saying she. Yeah, she will be the lead. She will lead up the covert project. Okay, I don't want to go off on a rant here, but okay, what's next here? Okay, you got Michelle, already met Valerie, okay, and then that night, after the luncheon, that night, Valerie meets Tina Tchen, and they discuss the right words to use on Kim Foxx, you see. I mean, they have to plan these words out before they have the meeting. Words would be something like federal judgeship, FBI, use the FBI. Oh, Kim, can you recommend this case to our friends in the FBI? You know, the same guys that handled the Hillary situation. Perfect. Consider it done. So how are we doing so far? I mean, this ain't rocket science, is it? Okay, so Tina Tchen flies to Chicago to meet Kim Foxx, or vice versa, and Kim Foxx agrees to hand this case over to our friends at the FBI. How convenient. Okay, at this point in the game, a little crease appears. I mean, someone throws a wrench into the works. And who would that be? Well, that would be the police force that put in 1,000 man-hours into investigating the truth. It seems to be a little upsetting to them that, these people in Washington, D.C. are going to fly out here and tell us that this is a case for the FBI. And of course, the police understand what it's all about. The police know that the FBI is going to be called in to brush this all under the rug. And so the Chicago police start to do some press releases that Kim Foxx is working against the police force, and there's some sort of whitewash cover-up going on. And that's where the battle, that's where their plan starts to fall apart. So Kim Foxx then excuses herself from the case because, you know, she worships Hollywood and everything. So at this point, you can imagine that the Obamas were a little upset that their plan was developing huge cracks. So they have another dinner at Marcel's or Rose's Luxury in the Beltway district or wherever they do their lunch, wherever they do their dinners. Okay, after a bottle of the best 1869 Chateau Lafite Rothschild Amber Gold Green Label, finally Michelle says, what judge do we own in Cook County? And Obama said, oh, Michelle, you're so wonderful. Now I know why I married you. So then a late night phone call to Valerie to establish a list of judges to call on, and then the rest is history. Rahm Emanuel has a press conference. He tells the world that, yes, Jussie is special, and he got away with it. Okay, I mean, Rahm Emanuel is not stupid here. He's trying to get some space in between him and the Obamas and Valerie Jarrett. So, you know, Rahm Emanuel is betting on the side of law enforcement. You see, everybody involved in this cover-up they're not very bright. And of course, this proves that Rahm Emanuel sees that. I mean, a fifth grader could figure out. Literally a fifth grade girl could tell you that these criminals are not very bright. This cover-up is one of the worst cover-ups I've ever seen, and Rahm Emanuel, quite frankly, doesn't want to be involved with it. So he has the press conference, and he tells the world that, yes, I'm on the side of law enforcement. Now, is law enforcement going to give up? Let me ask a few questions before we close out on this. I mean, I'm going to ask a few questions. Is it possible that there is an FBI investigation into the Kim Foxx, Tina Tchen, obstruction of justice? Is there some sort of now we're talking about the FBI. Is it possible that there is an FBI investigation into this cover-up? Well, I would be pleasantly surprised, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Okay, now we'll take the next question. Is it possible that there is a Chicago Police Department investigation into the Kim Foxx, Tina Tchen, possibly even extending to Valerie Jarrett in D.C. investigation? Would we say that that investigation is ongoing? I would say yes. That's my opinion. I don't know for sure. I would say yes. I would say the Chicago police are not going to let this go away quietly. And what have we learned so far? We've learned that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And let's go back to the Chicago Police Department investigation into the cover-up. Okay, you got to understand, they've already investigated the hoax. They already know it was a hoax. But now the question is the police department investigating the cover-up? Okay, and then you take it one step further. Could that investigation be shut down by a federal judge or by a secret Homeland Security court on the grounds of national security? Okay, I mean, you got to love this one. I mean, think about this. Yeah, I love that they could think that, hey, Jussie must be protected on the grounds of national security. I mean, we can't have the Hollywood illusion destroyed. It could bring down the whole house of cards. So is Jussie going to be protected on the grounds of national security? That's all okay, we can't go any farther with this because it's almost ridiculous. Well, it's not almost. I mean, it is ridiculous. Remember that question I asked earlier? I said, what do Obama, Jesse Jackson, Valerie Jarrett, Tina Tchen, Kim Foxx, and Jussie Smollett, what do they all have in common? Well, that's easy. They've never had a real job in their entire goddamn pathetic lives. Seriously. They've never created a damn thing except for chaos.